Which backup quarterbacks in 2025 will become starters in the NFL in 2026, and more from the NFL Six-Pack Mailbag.
This is Locked On's NFL Six-Pack. 6 bold takes from 2 guys who just flat out know football. NFL experts Matt Williamson and Brian Peacock bring pure NFL talk. Great takes, no fluff, just honest football talk. Crack one open. It's NFL Six-Pack on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the NFL Six-Pack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Big shout out to all the everydayers and all the listeners out there that help make our network the #1 sports podcast network. And today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. And right now at Prize Picks, a special offer for our listeners. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. We're talking more quarterbacks today. It was a ton of quarterback questions in our mailbag before Week 12. We might not even talk a lot about Week 12 in this mailbag, and we're going to talk a lot about team building, as we tend to do here on the program. If you've been a listener to Matt and I through our time as Locked On NFL, Peacock and Williamson NFL show, or now the NFL Six-Pack, we do a lot of off-season conversations, a lot of team-building conversations. It's the #1 thing we geek out on. And look, it's a good time in the middle of the weeks, Matt, to talk about some of the bad teams in the NFL, because their games are less important as we talk about the pre and post games and break down everything that happens here in Week 12 as we have a lot of playoff implications throughout the season. So checking in with those teams that are already in draft mode, and some of those have big quarterback conversations right now, as tends to happen in the NFL. But the first question I want to go to is about backup quarterbacks. And we teased it on yesterday's episode. Bruce says, which QB2 on the Week 1 depth charts do you think is going to be the best shot next year as a starter? Guys like McCorkle Jones and Jacoby Brissett have been solid, and teams need quarterbacks. Could we see the Browns and Jets picking one up depending on how the draft and their schedules pan out?
Well, I built a list of backups that at least you have to have a slight conversation with them. Some of them might be long conversations. Some might be real short. Want me to buzz through them here?
Yeah, let's buzz through them. JDS had a similar question talking about some backups of the non-Mac Jones variety, who seems to be the hottest name, but Malik Willis out there, who's a name
he's on my list, yeah.
And he has certainly rehabbed his image in Green Bay from the start of his career.
So I made it. This list is probably longer than it needs to be. So Wentz, Mariota, Russell Wilson, Winston. Are those guys all too old, ship sailed, not good enough?
They will never be viewed as a Week 1 starter for the rest of their NFL careers.
100% agree. Okay, that's why I wanted to get them out of the way. I think Brissett is his own animal, where I think he could be the Cardinal starter with somebody else.
Stopgap variety. Yes.
Yeah, maybe even with one of these other names, or somebody that's playing college football as we speak right now. But I can't see somebody, the Steelers, saying, "Oh, I'm going to go get Jacoby Brissett and make him our start." I think that ship sailed too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Davis Mills, no,
backup.
Agreed. Lance,
backup.
Right. Still, some of these guys are even just like hanging on for, to get paid.
With Mills and Lance, 6 weeks left in the season, is there enough for the starter to not come back and you play so great? And we saw one nice game from Mills and then kind of a dud the next time with Mills. And I think that's kind of what to expect. If that offensive line gets Justin Herbert killed and all of a sudden Trey Lance plays awesome and leads the Chargers into the playoffs, there'd
have to be some crazy fictional story. Yeah,
it's hard to envision that. And if the line's getting Herbert killed, it's probably gonna get Lance killed too. So
right. But I'm thinking about guys that have ability. Fields,
I think that ship has sailed.
Is he just a pure number 2 next year?
He's gonna have to go the rehab route. If he's smart, he finds his best quarterback coach that will have him and sign a cheap deal and go rehab his get fixed and kind of almost disappear from the limelight for a bit and maybe come out better on the other side. It's crazy because 6 months ago, he and Mac Jones were flipped. Mac Jones was worth nothing, and teams still wanted to bring in a starter and envisioned a starter in Justin Fields.
So I think that's 100%. His best route would be to go be Bo Nix's backup and learn from Sean Payton, or something like that. 100%, and take a cheap deal, etc. I think that couldn't be more true for Anthony Richardson, and I think somebody will want him.
Yeah,
but not
those guys got to disappear for a while. It's harder with Richard because Fields has played so much. Richardson's played not at all.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
I would much rather take a chance on Richardson than Fields.
It's the Lance thing with Richardson where like you need a minor league where a guy can go play a full season.
And obviously he can't even stay on the field for a game.
Right.
Adds to the problem, obviously.
Richardson will be elsewhere as a backup that someone's trying to see if they can rehab him.
And I still think it might happen. I know that sounds crazy, but nobody thought Daniel Jones or Darnold had a chance either. I mean, stay healthy at least, and then we can at least assess you from there.
Yeah, all of a sudden, surprise! He won the job, and he's playing good. Yeah, could that happen more?
I think Willis is super interesting. So I got 3 left. Willis, to me, is somebody that's super interesting. Now, they ran the ball a ton when he's in the game, and LaFleur is really good for him. But I think he's kind of getting that treatment right now but he was a first-round pick. He also went to Liberty.
Is Willis a free agent?
That I don't know.
Because it kind of depends what his contract status is. Because I don't think a team's going to trade for Willis.
I think that whole draft class is. The Pickett class, because
this is your
he's still on his first contract, so I think he's up after this year.
No 5th-year option was picked up, so yeah, I think he could find a better opportunity where he could have a little bit of a competition, a sell job for a team to be like, look, you're the backup there, you can compete here.
Yes, I think that's not crazy. I mean, we might not see enough of them between now and then, but there's a lot of ability. I think coming out of Liberty, we never should have thought that he'd be, plug and play type guy. Actually, I have one more name that I didn't think of. Will Levis.
No chance.
I don't think so either. Okay.
I don't even know where Will Levis is right now. Where is Will
IR.
Levis?
He got hurt like right at the beginning of the year.
Right.
And
right.
I mean,
there
Tennessee.
Was no controversy, there was no competition.
Right. Out of sight, out of mind. I mean, his stock obviously hasn't gone.
Yeah, he's going to have to go. He and Richardson are going to have to go do what Malik Willis did. Go find a good coach to back up. Yeah.
Okay, so we have talked about Mac Jones. We could talk about him more. But to be honest, my favorite name is one that people I don't think give enough credit, but I think the Eagles love Tanner McKee.
Oh.
And I think Howie could be he'll make any kind of deal. But I also bet there's some Eagles folks, I know that I shouldn't even say this, that might prefer him over Hurts. Just because style of play and all those things.
He might be a better drop back passer.
Right. I could see Tanner McKee being the Scott Mitchell, Dan Marino's backup. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen a lot of those in history, that were.
And then finally gets his shot, and it's like,
Matt Flynn, or those type of dudes, right?
Yeah, McKee is the next Matt Flynn. I can see that absolutely. Again, is he part of that draft class? Is he a free agent?
I don't think so.
That would have to be a trade. I would think that
they'll trade anybody.
Mac Jones put the most on tape this year,
no doubt,
and helped himself the most. And I think is probably the guy that a team would say, we're going to bring him in to start for us.
Of all the names talked about, I think he's definitely the best chance to be the starter.
But again, I think with McKee, if he is under contract, which I still think he's got another year on his rookie deal, right?
I'm going to look it up super quick.
McKee and Mac Jones, you would have to trade for them because they're both under contract. So would a team like that option so much that they're willing to give the Eagles or the 49ers what it would take to pry them away of being a valuable backup?
And I think the Eagles value him. Now That's the thing. You'd have to give something up for him. He is under contract through the end of next year. He's 25 years old right now. But next year he makes $1.1 million.
And so cheap, a team
that costs you a pick.
It's going to cost you a pick, and you probably have to give him some money because you're not going to trade for a guy and then have him walk after a year if he's good. I don't think it'd be a huge contract for those players. It would be more like the shorter variety, 2-3 year contract that you can get out of, but is also a big jump in pay. But for the team that has them, for the 49ers and Eagles, they have to weigh the pick that they get in return for not having a really good backup quarterback. And you could argue that it's a smart way for good organizations, well coached, to keep filtering in backups and collect picks for them. And send them away, right? Which I think was a big part of Mac Jones signing a 2-year deal instead of the 1-year Darnold deal that we saw. And then he just walks for nothing. And now he ends up playing against you in the division. And so there's some control of like, I'd rather send this guy because we do think he's good. We want to send him to the AFC, right? Or the other part of that is they're going to walk next year because they're going to view themselves as a starter.
Exactly.
And then so you only have them for 1 year.
Right. So do I want to get a 4th round pick or a 3rd round pick, whatever it is, whatever you agree on compensation, start over, draft another one in the 4th round.
Yeah. Or go rehab Will Levis as the backup.
Yeah. Right.
Whatever. And let somebody else, because you're going to be, if the Niners and Eagles backup job is open, players are going to want to go there. And we just saw that with Mac Jones. Like, I will take less money to go be the backup here and be coached well. And you see this with Malik Willis. And it's like, that's the smart move for one of these quarterbacks that's still young and still thinks they have something.
Couldn't you see Howie Roseman going, I'm trading McKee to somebody, getting a 3rd or 4th round pick or something like that. Anthony Richardson's my backup to Hurts.
It's perfect. It writes itself. Yeah,
exactly. Right. Do I got for nothing? And
they
maybe
gain picks and then still get a good backup quarterback who we'll be talking about
better
in a year or two from now and being like, oh my God, Anthony Richardson, this guy's a freak. Look what he can do.
You see what he did in the preseason? Holy smokes.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's going to happen.
Yeah. So at least 1, maybe 2 starters that are current backups. What about Flacco? He started as a backup this year.
Yeah, we talked about him yesterday. I think he'll be in the mix somewhere. He screams like Minnesota. Hey, JJ, while you're figuring things out, we at least can win with this guy.
Speaking of changing quarterbacks,
I don't think he'll be a Bengal.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So does he want to keep playing in the ripe old age of 40 plus that he is right now? The big question for Aaron Rodgers too, is he going to want to keep playing next year? And so maybe more openings from some retired quarterbacks.
Rodgers would only be a starter though. He's not
only a starter, and probably only in Pittsburgh, right?
I would imagine. Yeah.
Next, talking about changing quarterbacks, are complete teardown rebuilds even a good thing, and have they ever worked? And more from the NFL 6-pack mailbag. Today's episode of NFL 6-pack brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement of this season, whether you're following the NFL, the NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action at Prize Picks. And if you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and you find those projections on Prize Picks. You see, that one doesn't look right. I'm going to go more than on Steph Curry points or threes, or you can even stack them and you can say, I'm going to pick more on Steph Curry's points, threes, and assists and stack them all in the same lineup. And if you get them right, you win. Super easy. Takes 60 seconds to make your lineup. You can make tons of different lineups with all kinds of different combinations, and you can play anywhere Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. At Prize Picks, it's good to be right. A great question here. I wanted to get to it last week. We did not have time. And we're going to have to take a little bit of a trip down memory lane here with this one. Yair on Twitter says, talking about team rebuilds, how many times has a full rebuild, GM, head coach, quarterback, been successful? And how fast can you expect that to be successful? Because you see teams try it and then flip before you have an opportunity to put the thing into gear, right? Are there any examples in recent history? And he mentioned some teams here, but just as far as rebuilds, is a complete tear down rebuild even a thing that should happen in the NFL, Matt?
Yeah, and maybe this is even a whole episode in June or July or something, to really dig into it. Because I think there's so many angles to approach this from. Because I'm sure many times in history, all three of those things got changed within a year or two, and it worked out well. I think the Lions and Bills right now are teams that not so long ago were really looking rough and are now two of the best teams in the league. Whether they win a Super Bowl or not, I don't think that matters. I mean, the fate of the Lions, we talked about Matthew Stafford yesterday, a lot different now than then, and they had some, so yes. However, the Pirate fan in me would often say, you have a terrible owner. It's always going to be terrible. See Browns, Jets, etc. And I don't think it was a coincidence that Washington became relevant on the football field shortly after the owner was switched, was sold. So teardowns are great, but 99% of the time, the owner's not going to be part of the teardown.
Number one answer is look above those things we're talking about: GM, head coach, and quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think it's yes and no. We've seen so many teardowns not work. And I think if you get it right, no matter what the timing is on when the hires and when the players and it all comes together. So the number one thing is get it right. If you don't think you have a good GM, then fire.
Right.
Period. Right. And so how often
if you draft Joe Burrow, you have a better chance of being relevant, And
it's worked less often than it has worked, right? Like it has not worked more often than it has worked. This is how you put it. But dynasties have been built. The Bill Walsh 49ers were a complete teardown rebuild. Everybody was new. The quarterback didn't come year one. It was a little bit of a slow play with the quarterback because in year two, Montana shows up and then he didn't start right away. And, all of a sudden, you go from 79 and you're one of the worst teams in the NFL. New coach, new everything. And then all of a sudden you are winning a Super Bowl in 1981. We saw it with the Patriots. That was,
speaking of that era, the Jerry Jones taking over the Cowboys might be the best example in history.
Because the Patriots were a complete rebuild. It was new. It was Bill Belichick, new GM, and it was Bledsoe first, but then Tom Brady came later. But that was all three positions changed. But
it's happened a million times, I think, because the terrible organizations, none of those guys often stick.
Right. And so some of the best dynasties of our time, literally in our lifetime, the best three, Cowboys, Niners, Patriots, were all tear down rebuilds.
And in some way, the Chiefs all kind of came at the same time too. I mean, Mahomes was a year or two after Reed, but they were good. They didn't tear down. I mean, they were a playoff team.
Yeah, they were already a pretty good team. And Dorsey, I can't remember if he was a holdover and already there before Veach took over too. So there are a lot of kind of slow crossover there. Quarterback, GM. I don't remember the timeline there.
I think tanking is a bad idea.
Yeah. And it's not super helpful and it hasn't worked a lot. And the guy you think is going to be good in the draft, that's kind of part of it, is like, it's less about we got lucky and we picked this one quarterback. It's more about what is around that quarterback when you draft. So if you don't have that all figured out, ownership down. But now that I'm thinking about it, part of the teardown is in San Francisco, there was new ownership. Jerry Jones, new ownership.
Yeah. Jerry Jones, new ownership, right.
Kraft was a newish owner.
I think so too. This is a real history lesson here, but right.
So new owner comes in, tear down the owner too. Then now we're talking.
I mean, even Denver hiring Peyton, all of a sudden they're the 1 seed in the AFC as we speak. That was a new owner. I'm just trying to think in recent memory, not going back to the 70s, 80s, etc. So Jets fans, I think you want a new owner. Is what
if you could tear that part down too. So a tear down rebuild is not necessarily going to do it for you, and we've seen it not work so many times. But dynasties have been built on tear downs too. So, yes, it can work. The bottom line is you got to get it right.
I'm not a proponent of tanking though, in terms of basically trying to lose, because I think you destroy locker rooms, you destroy You know, I mean, these are human beings. If they hate coming to work and hate going to the game,
Lose to win is just how does that even make sense?
Right. I think that's the different story.
Speaking of rebuilds, what's going on with the Raiders? Have they already screwed this whole thing up? And what about extensions for some young quarterbacks like CJ Stroud and Bryce Young this offseason? Next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And of course, we have so much fun talking NFL here on the show. But what about the NBA? NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on that action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And even if you miss the start of an NBA game, you want to ride that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. And we know everybody makes a run in the NBA, and you can even combine those live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. And of course, you can bet on all the NFL games. Every weekly line is up through week 18 already at FanDuel. Player props, season-long props, draft props. This will grow into the offseason if your team is in that mode already. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's talk Raiders. Let's crush the Raiders. They're an easy punching bag right now in the NFL. They had a really bad primetime loss, Monday Night Football. I think they've done a lot of things poorly in this short-lived Pete Carroll era that might be even really shorter-lived when you look back at some of the decisions and how this is playing out for them right now in Las Vegas. And Michael asked the question, if Ashton Jeanty is only worth 2 carries in the first half of a football game, then who are the building blocks of this team outside of Bowers and Crosby? And we've got a lot of questions about this and Jeanty, and you know how I feel about first-round running backs, Matt, and you're sitting there and you got Armand Membu available, and you could really build something from inside out, and you go draft the running back. I think it's just bad business, and we're seeing that play out right now, and you can't even utilize this player who's a good player, I think, in Ashton Jeanty, but you don't build the thing out of the running back. The running back is the dessert. In fact, he's the cherry on top of the whipped cream on the dessert.
It really looks like Saquon with the Giants. Like, what'd that get you? I mean, it's like carbon copy exact, you know. It's not his fault. He's great at what he does. I still think he's going to be a really good player. But if you put Jeanty on the Eagles, he'd be pretty darn good. And that's the cherry on top of the sundae. But
right.
So I pulled up their roster, and this is going to sound pretty miserable, to be honest with you. I mean, first off, and to reiterate kind of what you said, if the obvious ones are a running back and a tight end, that's bad. There's
not great.
Not great. I mean,
love having a big time.
I love Bowers.
But like, would you be at all surprised if the first news story we get of the offseason is Max Crosby requests a trade?
Right. I was going to bring him up next. Like, I don't think you could put Crosby on the list of building blocks. I think what he gives you in return could yield building blocks, and that probably is the best move. But I have mixed feelings about that too, you know?
Yeah. I think he's still young enough that he's a building block, and he should be a building block. Now, if that's as a player or in trade return, then that's another thing. But now you have a tight end as your building block. And you
right. So here's some names I think are, probably more a part of the solution than they are the problem in big picture. Now, they just gave Colton Miller a contract, and he's a left tackle, and he's good at his job. So I'm going to say
how important he is, because they're a disaster right now on the offensive line.
Yeah, to say him and Powers Johnson are both on IR, but I want them around, you know. So I'm going to say they're building blocks. Some building blocks are stronger than others, obviously. Mm-hmm. I'm in a reach here. I'm staying with the O-line. DJ Glaze has shown flashes, especially last year under that coaching staff. Charles Grant, we haven't seen it all, but I mean, he's a tackle.
Raw, small school guy, not expected to be an awesome rookie.
I mean, I don't know why he's not playing over Stone Forsythe right now. That shows no vision whatsoever.
Yeah, no, he's got to be better. Even if he's bad, at least learn.
Let me
might have something later. Yeah, from learning from mistakes.
And again, I'm going to reach, but like Jack Besh is your second round pick this year. Dante Thornton's your 4th-round pick. Trey Tucker has shown some things that none of them are 1 wide receivers, but maybe they could all fight for the 2 and 3 jobs and check those boxes, a year from now or, throughout the course of this year. The defense is miserable, though. I mean, who's young? You'd love to say Tyree Wilson, but the fact is just no. I mean, don't give me Devin White and Jamal Adams and Landon Roberts and all these retread dudes. I mean,
retread Nepo vibe of the Raiders
right.
barrel just gets worse the more I look at it.
Yeah, the defense, there's nothing other than the Crosby conversation to say. I mean, maybe Darian Porter, but he was a super raw 3rd-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jeremy Chin is okay.
Man,
it's bad.
Opportunity for like a Jack Besh to have done something. You thought he would be an early contributor in his career. So a higher, maybe a lower ceiling, but a higher floor player, and he hasn't done much. Thornton's kind of just been a cardio king, running off routes for the underneath guys, and so it's rough. There's not a lot of building blocks there, and that's not the kind of roster you plop a 1st-round top 10 running back in.
No, or for that matter, back to our build the nest first. You want to throw the 4th overall pick quarterback in that situation too.
Right? Yeah, that's not going to go great.
Right.
If that's the plan this offseason either.
Right. Like, I think Myers leaving could be good for Besh, or at least we can evaluate him more.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if Tyree Wilson wasn't a total bust. I mean, maybe you'd have a pair of edge rushers, but you can't count on him. This would be one of my last picks to be, hey, Matt, you could be one of 32 GMs. Turn this team into a winner. I'd be really low.
I'd take the Browns job just because, well, I guess, they each team has a stud.
That's they both have the edge guy. Right.
Edge. That's one thing. I was going to say Browns versus Raiders, ownership's not.
Browns defense is 1,000 times better, though.
It is, yeah. More.
I mean, I just wouldn't concentrate. I just draft offensive linemen like crazy.
Yeah. I would fire the head coach, but try to keep the defensive coordinator if I could do.
Yeah.
I might not even fire the head coach. I don't know.
I'm not sure about the coaches being the problem there.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
I think I would clean house with the Raiders coaching staff.
Bleak picture for the Raiders. I want to go to another question here about the Texans and the Panthers from JDS. Do you give 9-figure extensions to Bryce Young and or CJ Stroud this offseason? I think Bryce Young's clearly a no.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm going to play that out and see.
It's the most obvious he's going to get some mega extension, but things haven't gone great the last 2 years. So
they haven't.
I don't know what to think there, but I feel like he's going to get that Trevor Lawrence deal.
And I would do that in a millisecond if I was the Texans. I think that's still a buy low, but I think you could get away offering them that deal. Yeah, that's.
Well, let me put it this way: I'm not a shark circling the water with the Panthers to try to go get Bryce Young. If he's cut, I'd sign him and see what you get. If the Texans are at all waffling, I am circling the waters on CJ Stroud. I'll tell you that right now. I think that tells the story.
I mean, again, the Steelers are the perfect team. Like, would you offer a pick for whatever it takes to get Bryce Young out of Carolina? No. Would you offer something quite substantial for Stroud and extend him? Yeah.
And we talked yesterday about, starters this year, that where they're going to go next year. We talked about Kyler Murray. He's kind of like the young quarterback that a team would still view as like, we're going to trade for him and he's going to be our starter and maybe fix our quarterback position. Stroud would instantly go to number one if he was at all available. And if you're if you don't want to give him that 9-figure extension, then that would be what you're saying. I think he's going to get that extension. And I think like the Trevor Lawrence deal, when you give that 1st-round pick the extension, you give him a year early when you have the 5th-year option. I think it's even though the money will look big and they'll be like, oh, it's $50 million a year or whatever, it'll actually not be that big of a deal in reality because you're erasing some years and it actually starts later and it's more cap friendly too. So Stroud's going to sign a big deal. Young will not. I think that's easy.
Yeah. If it's the Steelers, the Raiders, the Jets, whoever, and they sit down and say, these are all the possible quarterbacks that are attainable. Like last year, maybe someone thought they could get Stafford away from the Rams. Maybe they're attainable. Stroud's clearly if he's on the list, if he even makes a list, he's by far the best one.
He would be number one over the college quarterbacks too.
Right.
I'll trade my first round pick for Stroud rather than draft one of these guys.
And or spend 3 firsts to get up to the first overall pick.
Unless there's something else going on with Stroud that we haven't really seen, that's known behind the scenes where teams would be suddenly out on CJ Stroud. And
sure.
If the Texans are out on CJ Stroud, that might be a big indicator if something's wrong there.
The Stafford stat you threw out yesterday about finally becoming a winning quarterback. I know Stroud's won a lot of quarterbacks, but it's just been sticking with me that we might 5 years from now, we might be like, Stroud's like the 5th best quarterback walking the earth.
Well, he already kind of was after his rookie year.
Right.
Ready to anoint him. And it's been rough. And they got a defense. That's what's maddening about the Houston Texans. They should be really good. You got, I think, a good head coach. You got a great defense, and you got what should be a star quarterback. They should be fighting for the 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah. And even like offseason, if you extended Stroud, I'm not doing anything at receiver. I'm good there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not doing anything on defense. I mean, it's pretty obvious where to concentrate your stuff.
Only offensive coordinator, which they're already on their second for CJ Stroud, and offensive line. And is the offensive line so bad? Is that how bad the offensive line is? Like, is it just that?
Maybe they're just bad at hiring coordinator. I mean, you're right.
Yeah. Here's a good one. I think we got a couple of quickies here before we go. Brandon Ayuk. This is from Chris. Who says no? Brandon Ayuk for A.J. Brown offseason wide receiver swap.
Would you do it?
I would do it from the 49ers perspective, just because I think it's a little bit more up in the air with Brandon Ayuk's knee injury and his and A.J. Brown's contract's a little better right now, just because it's an older contract than Ayuk's is. I
think Brown's a declining player.
Yes.
But I'm kind of dancing around the subject just because I don't know the medical.
That's the thing, is because for Ayuk, and the report was that he might be getting close and that practice window could be opening, but we still haven't seen it. And the fact that it's been over a year and it was a devastating injury, it was multiple ligaments, ACL plus, meniscus was involved. And the fact he's not ready to go, and it seems like it's up to him. I think the team has been like, he's probably going to start practicing soon. And when he's ready, he's going to start practicing. And so there is something weird there. And maybe that's more of a feelings thing where he's like, look, I'm going to come back, play a couple weeks, show the league I'm ready, and I'm going to ask to be traded again. Is there a lot of other extra weirdness? Is it just his knee? Is if he's not feeling confident in his knee right now, it's a really bad sign. But he's younger than Brown. And so career trajectory, I think you'd rather have Ayuk. And I think Brown is declining, but I think both of these assets are clearly not as valuable as they were, a year prior.
Right. I mean, it's people getting rid of their junk in some degree, but that's the wrong word. But I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But there's hope, like they could be your number one too.
You're right. They could be a Pro Bowler next year.
Right. Last one here. I think this is also an easy one from Joey Bag of Donuts. Is it me, or does the NFC look much stronger than the AFC this year, especially at the top?
Massively to me. I mean, like, I look at like the Bills and think, man, Josh Allen has to be better maybe than last year to get to even like the Final Four. I mean, like, their defense stinks. They don't have any receivers. Chiefs are down. I mean, do we trust in Daniel Jones? And I love Drake May, but he's a puppy. I mean, like, who do you fear in the AFC? I mean, the Steelers are probably going to go to the playoffs, but they scream one and done. Even Baltimore doesn't look like the powerhouse or even, I don't know if Baltimore has the ceiling that I thought they might.
I had to hit the sounder late. I forgot to hit it there on that one. I think clearly the answer to the question, yes, NFC is better. It's not quite at the level of like the 90s where whoever wins the NFC championship game is just going to
no
Super Bowl, but I would bet on the NFC right now.
And the AFC's been stronger lately. I mean, the Brady's and Mahomes and that type of stuff, and even like Ben, those type of guys. And it's not there right now. It has quarterbacks, but it doesn't have.
And we could say that right now, but that NFC team shows up on Super Bowl Sunday. You're not like super excited to see Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen on the other side of the field.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah,
right.
You're hoping the Steelers sneak through. You're hoping like the
Patriots are
there, and it's like, you're not
Denver
yet, guys, right? Yeah.
No, I'm 100% behind you on that.
Thanks for all the questions. Appreciate those listeners that consistently get the questions in, and apologies to the ones we did not get to. Keep them coming at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL in the YouTube comments. And thanks once again for not only making us your first listen of the day, but making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network.